Alright, so this is welcome to the illustration block of CG Spectrum's Twitch channel. I'm your host, Eric Wilkerson, one of the mentors here at CG Spectrum. And today we're going to continue with part 2 of my little zombie robot portrait. I guess I should put a little disclaimer on here and say, warning. Due to the graphic nature of the content you are about to see, parental guidance is suggested, something like that. I mean, it's just a little flesh and scabs and metal. I mean, what's the big deal, right? Alright, so Audrey, hello. Hello, welcome. To any students of CG Spectrum, if you are watching this or if you will watch this, this reference is posted in the general DigiPaint Slack channel, so you can paint along with me at your convenience. You can share it on Slack if you are brave enough, or if you want to. It's not a courage thing, or you can keep it to yourself. And as long as you're practicing, as long as you're just moving, keeping your hand moving and digital painting, it's all good. All right. So I probably should have worked out the rest of the drawing on this before this stream, so that I could just dive right into painting. But I'm gonna get started with just drawing this, finishing the drawing, and moving on from there. So if anybody has any questions or anything while I'm going, please write to me in the chat. Otherwise, I am going to get back to painting.
Love is not enough for me. If it screams when you hold it, love is not enough for me. Love is acting if it screams.
So if you're watching this, wherever you might be, let me know where you're watching from, or what time of day or what time of night is it? Somebody's dinner time? Nikita skipped dinner just to come see me. That's so nice. Hey Nikita. All right. Line. That. Constantly playing with my brush settings in between projects, so nothing's ever exactly the same whenever I come back into this. So no. 8 p.m. in the UK, Germany, what's up? All right, Blasphemer, right on. Watching in Greece, it's 10 p.m. Yikes. Right. So, do we have any zombie lovers in the audience? That kind of stuff. Just gonna be like eternally grossed out by
Constant word. You think that is your guide. You think that all the blood, sweat, and the tears will deliver you to a place that's better than where you are.
This is going to be one of those rare times. I probably shouldn't even do this, but I don't have time to dive back into proper reference of somebody's stuff, so I'm just gonna make it up. This is the one time that I will be doing this. I never really try to make up anything. So if you're watching this, you're in my class, and you go, you're always talking about referencing stuff, but I saw you just draw teeth, and you never referenced anything. You just made it up. I'm just letting you know right now, this is a one-time thing. It'll never happen again, right? So, get off my back. Anyway, just having some fun. And this is the beauty of having this actual lighting reference, is that I can totally play with what the look of the skin and the rips and the blood and all that stuff look like. I can exaggerate a couple of things of the mouth and stuff because I at least know where the light's coming from. That's so much of the work right there. The mouth a little wider. And I want to play with his teeth. Chipped. Teeth missing. There's a whole tooth. I know there's one here. 2 a.m. in India. My goodness. Well, right on. Well, welcome. Zombie for the win, absolutely. Oh, man, commitment. That is commitment. Jiggy. Music is a little loud. It's coming over. Okay. Alright, let me turn that down. Nothing in front of my sick beat. Okay. I never know, like, how loud is loud. How loud is too. Oh, my speaker is low. So then this. Got it. Okay. Alright, so let me know if everybody can hear me. A little better. Keep it rolling. Okay, so I turned down the dubstep. There you go. Okay. It'll be nothing but smooth jazz next week from now on, right? I don't know. Twitch approved smooth jazz, which what that'll even sound like. But Lumps and chunks. Chunk. Everybody's okay. Far in the world. Safe. Yeah, Twitch approved smooth jazz. Hey Nikita, if you're on, that was a really cool mermaid piece that you did, that you posted earlier. Why don't you plug yourself and pop your Instagram info in the chat for all these cool cats and kittens to follow you. Is he is dropping heat. We're on Instagram. Check that out. Got bragging rights because taught her everything she knows. No, she was already good. She was really good when she rolled into class. So. Really happy to see her still doing her thing. Yeah, no problem. Concentric. One of the really fun parts about doing these little portrait studies every week is taking the time to experiment. Like it's just 2 hours out of my week where I get to just sit here, paint, play with brushes, and figure some stuff out on the fly, and hope it works out. It works out. I play with the hair a little more. This one have than I did in my oil painting. And give them a little bit of a stringy leftover mullet. Mullets are back in these days, especially in America. Just gonna assume they saw a lot of mullets on TV last week, 2 weeks ago. Whole lot. Scribble. Blah blah. Okay. You figure he? Oh yeah. There you go. Receding hairline business in the front. Dirty hair party in the back. So this is where we can start to riff off of whatever our underdrawing, our rough drawing is. We can start to play with it and let the painting develop into whatever it's going to become as we go. Shape. Drawing cylindrical, spherical forms. Not really when you consistent or somewhat consistent, but I'm not going anal about this being super accurate. I just want to block it in and have some. All right, I think that's about all the drawing. It's one thing I didn't work out in the sculpture that I'm going to have to work out here is like the shape of the socket. I'm gonna have to, like, the cheekbone area. I'll alter that. I'm gonna alter that from what is reference and say that there's an actual mandible broken. Maybe like a piece of that actual metallic jaw. It's like flesh there. I think that'll be probably as far as I go with that today. And now let's paint. Every hairstyle that Miley Cyrus gets starts trending. I never knew that. Is that for real? Don't tell me that, because I will spend the night looking that up. Oh my god. Kinda insane. Wow. Tony, hello. I actually need glasses. I can see this. I need to pop this out. How do I zoom in? How do I make this text larger? I should learn how to. I don't know. All right. There it is. Hope all is well, Tony. Tony's also been throwing down some good stuff over on the Slack channel. Tony, you should also drop your Instagram and all that into the chat so people can check out your work. Mine as well, right? Never know who's gonna see this or be watching it days from now, so let people know who you are and what you do. Until then. Kenny G. Hello. Which class do you teach again? I teach advanced illustration, advanced concept art, and the intro concept art courses. So all of the stuff that CG Spectrum has to offer for their concept art and illustration department. So I know Tony and Nikita are CGS students. Are there any other? Do we have any other CGS students in here right now, or just random folks stalking me on YouTube? It happens. Not that I'm telling you to go. You can always stalk me if you want to. Fine. Okay with it. Hello, Joseph. Welcome. Kind of brushy, simple. Our gum line here. And so that I also want to just let people know that there's no gimmicks here, not using any kind of special filters or weird custom brushes or anything like that. Most of this painting is being painted with one brush. I just keep varying the size of it, and I have pen tilt turned on so you can see my brush wiggling as I angle the brush itself in different directions, so it treats it more like an actual paintbrush for me, and I really enjoy that. So that's what's going on over here. Yeah, no, man, I understand. Believe me, I understand. And there's only so much that I'm actually supposed to even be sharing on here. But I figure the digital painting stuff that I talk about stream isn't exactly revolutionary, never before heard stuff. So I don't mind people asking me questions if I can answer. Oh my goodness, Tony, you don't know how to use Instagram? There's like whole YouTube channels dedicated to walking you through how to do that. Got to get your social media game up, man. And it starts by knowing how to use the app. But you know, I can't even poke fun because I don't have a Twitter account because I don't know how it works. I don't understand Twitter at all. All I know is that it ruins lives. People get on there, wake up, get on there, they say some random nonsense, and then 24 hours later they don't have a job. I guess I will stay up off of that. That's right. I had said last week that I was gonna put a snaggletooth, just like sticking all up in the meat flesh, chunky bits. So that. It's all about the nonsense. I don't know if you guys have seen those Bernie Sanders memes. Poor man. They need to leave him alone. I feel like if he had a better insulated coat, he would have just had a regular day without the internet, like teasing him relentlessly. How do you not have a better insulated coat? Knew where you were. I just thought that was pretty funny. You drew Bernie Sanders? Like, what, recently? What was it, from that photo, or just you just randomly decided one day I'm gonna draw Bernie Sanders? So random. I mean, if you post that over in the general DigiPaint, I'd love to see it. Oh my goodness.
Look at the sky. See the stars.
I'm really impressed by whatever Photoshop guru cleanly removed him from the original reference and posted up that all. You know, there's a lot of people out there wouldn't have bothered to take the time. One thing I've been playing with as a result of this stream is getting a little bit more confident with painting directly over my line work from the jump, instead of building up my line work and then doing some first pass, like painting underneath the line work, and then spending all of my time trying to paint out the lines. Working the process and trying to treat it more like an oil painting from the beginning. So that's been an enjoyable experiment for myself. So, and that's just 2 hours a day. So if you have that kind of time to burn, you know, if you got time to binge watch an entire TV show, you've got 2 hours to put into your. Not, you gotta ask yourself what, right? I don't have time to paint. I don't have time to draw. See that whole season of Mandalorian? Wasn't it awesome? Mm-hmm. Say that this guy's whole mouth is just ripped. That tooth is a little. I don't know. Maybe he had really white pearly teeth right before the end. What do I think about students making an art YouTube? Why not? Go for it. I mean, there's a YouTube channel for everything. If you can, I have friends of mine that have YouTube channels where they just talk about their creative process and, you know, their journey as an illustrator or, you know, a concept artist or a self-employed artist, and they share whatever tips and tricks they've learned over the years, you know, their successes, their failures. They share it all, and that's, you know, it really all depends on how open you want to be with people and your available time, because there's a level of consistency that has to happen with it. Not something you could just post once, like every 3 months, and hope to gain any kind of following. The job. Got that kind of time, then good luck. I thought I would have that kind of time, but I don't. Even before teaching. I mean, I have a YouTube channel. Just Eric Wilkerson Art. And I mainly just use it to post like trailers, little trailer videos. My oil paintings, some of my book cover illustration work. Spit. But after a while, Nikita, if you're doing a YouTube channel and you start to do something that really resonates with an audience, they start sharing it, and before you know it, you've got a couple hundred people, a couple thousand, and, you know, you got several thousand people following you, and that's cool. And especially now, since for a lot of brick and mortar art schools are all going online. So, like PJiggy, you're saying, oh, that, you know, CG Spectrum's price was a little too high. There are actual brick and mortar colleges, art schools, having their students pay full tuition, like 5 figures, you know, 45, 50, 60 grand and up. And those students are home now. They're all home, learning remotely from teachers that were never prepared to teach what they teach from home, versus a school that was designed to do that for a fraction of that price. So there's that to think. Any kind of education, any kind of art education is or cheap, but there are cheaper alternatives to dropping, you know, $50K just to sit at home in your pajamas. That's stupid. And the students know it too. They know it. They're mad. But what are you gonna do? Stay safe, right? Yeah, tuition fees in the United States are completely bananas. Bananas. Nikita is saying I recorded a video on my digital art process with pictures of art starting for, but I'm so awkward, finding it impossible to edit. So there is a program that I use to record video content for my students and for the school called it is called Camtasia. Now there's some people prefer using Adobe Premiere, but I found that for my purposes Camtasia was really all I needed, and it's really intuitive. I mean, you can get it for like a couple $100. It's not ridiculously expensive, and you know, you could do really high-end, good enough quality editing, voiceover work, you know, color adjustments and things like that, all in the app. So, you know, it's worth it. Definitely worth it. See, at this point I like to start just sampling color from directly in the scene, and I feel like I have enough of individual colors to do that, but in this case I don't have what I need, so I'm grab my little palette. And Nikita, don't worry about feeling awkward. Just record your videos and treat it like you're talking to friends. You know? I mean, you're recording it. You're not doing it live. You know what feels fake to me is when people hold their phones up, you know, like they're doing selfies or something like that, and they want to talk to their audience through their phone. It's so weird. I don't know. I'm just not used to that. So whatever is comfortable for you. You don't have to be all up in the camera if you don't want to. I mean, you could just be your voice, like talking to an audience. Hey, what's up guys? Blah blah blah. Nikita here. This week I'm gonna be this, whatever. However you want to word it. Jager Fox saying, one thing that I personally like about CGS is point. The alternative colleges that I was looking for a 3D animation wanted to drag it out for 3 or 4 years with a high tuition price for. Yeah, I mean it is condensed, but the like I tell my students for my advanced illustration course, because I spent a year and a half making the video content for all 3 terms, all 3 semesters of that course, and it is a 36-week course that crams in 2.5 years worth of what you would learn at a regular brick and mortar art school. Only thing I did was take out all of the humanities courses and time in the studio courses where you would be just, you know, sitting in a class doing life painting and life drawing. That's all in your time. And it's assumed that you come into my class with a certain technical level of skill, so that I'm not sitting there telling you about, you know, foundational things like proportion and anatomy. Kind of like hit the ground running with what I'm asking you to do. The intro courses really, the updated intro courses that we have are really about pushing your understanding of light, value, composition, and all that stuff. But also, you know, nobody's asking you to write essays and book reports and all that jazz. And at the end of the day, what it's all about, what it should always be about, is artistic growth. Whether it's 36 weeks, 24 weeks, 2 years, 1 month. If students are getting something out of the course, as opposed to nothing out of it over the 2 or 3 stretch. Like I've guest lectured at schools, 4-year universities, and I'd be in classes giving portfolio reviews, wondering to myself, wow, these freshmen or these sophomores, they have a long way to go. Anatomy, their understanding of color and all that stuff is pretty bad. And then the teacher says, oh no, this is my senior, these are my seniors. Oh my god, that's worse. Like, what are you teaching them? It's a money grab at that point. You're not teaching them anything. Yeah. What was the question? Rambling on, bashing schools without naming names. Yeah, I felt bad for the students too. I was just thinking to myself, because I was leaning in, I'm like, well, first, you know, whole composition is this, and change that, and then you'll figure it out next year. Oh, I'm graduating in 6 months. Yikes. Sean, what's going on? All right. I should probably save this. Right. I almost never paint at 100% opaque. It's not a rule breaking. saying, I guess that's the one big fear for any student, though. Like, will I be ready for being hired by the time I graduate? Let me tell you something about that. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for the work that I wanted to do when I graduated. Like, sometimes 4 years is not enough time to learn everything that you need to know in order to be competitive. It's just that's not how it works. You know, you're a human being, you're not a robot. It's not like you go to school for 4 years and you get programmed to do something and you are perfect by the time you walk out the door. Some people are good enough when they graduate. Like, if you're familiar with there's some illustrators that I went to school with that were rock stars the minute they left the building. They got their degree and they said, all right, DC Comics, here I come. That's not everybody. That's like 0.5%, right? The rest of the student body is kind of still being a point where they're trying to figure out who they are, what they love to do. There's still some of them, for some of those students, they're like still going through puberty, but they're supposed to but they're supposed to be like amazing by the time they get out of school. It don't work like that. That's a lot of extra stress to put on yourself. So like when I got out of school, I was good enough to get a job in my field, but it wasn't the exact work that I wanted. It paid, and as far as my parents were concerned, that was, you know, good enough for them to be like, oh, okay, well, we didn't waste working. Was it what I wanted to do exactly? No. And like no first art job really ever is. I mean, with a few exceptions. So I wouldn't stress about it. Wouldn't. Sean saying the university we're in was exactly that. Seeing the seniors work alone was a huge red flag for me. Also, those weird humanities classes that felt like indoctrination than actually teaching me something. Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about teaching you what you need to know in order to be competitive. Like, if you are in an illustration or a concept art program, you are being taught what you need to know in order to be industry. Be aware of what demands of that industry are. If you're in fine art, then you can sit there and just like paint flowers and flying elephants and all kinds of nonsense to you know, find your voice and find your inner blah blah blah, whatever, and be experimental and whatnot. And people can be like, oh well, that's really avant-garde, and you know how unique and experimental that is. No time for that. I mean, if it's not you're not learning a technique that's going to get you work, then it's a waste. And there's a lot of online art schools out there that are aware of that fact and tell you exactly what you need to know, and you know, cut out all the fat. It's all about the specular highlights. Gotta make it sing. I don't know why I'm giving this guy like moist lips. But hey, right before he got his face torn off, maybe he applied some chapstick. I don't know. Not here to judge him. Zombie robot, why do you got moist lips? Initially, you went to university for computer science before realizing that animation was your calling. There you go. In the 3 years I spent there, I took like 4 times more electives than actual coding. There you go. Sometimes people go to art school and they don't know. I went to art school wanting to be a comic book artist. That was it. And then I realized I don't want to draw paintings. I don't want to do panel art. I want to tell a story with one image. I want to paint one thing. I want to do it really, really well. What major is that? Oh, that's illustration. Where can you take that? Oh, well, you know the guy that did the movie posters for Star Wars? Yeah, that's illustration. You know the people that paint the book covers for sci-fi stuff? That's illustration. You know the people that make the marketing art, Stranger Things, and all of those Netflix original movies that on the sides of buses and stuff? Packaging art for video games? Yeah, that's all illustration. Splash art from Riot Games for all your favorite League of Legends characters? All illustration. One story, one image to help sell that product. And I said, sign me up. That sounds awesome. But, you know, I had to go through a year. I had to go through my first year of school before figuring that out. So then it took another 3 years of hard work. People get frustrated and they go, well, I'm not as good as I should be. I'm not where I should be by the time I graduate. Well, how long have you been doing it? 3 years. 3 whole years, my God. You know, you just started. Just started. I'm still learning stuff now, and I've been out of school for 20 years. Still learning. It's an ongoing process. So, sitting in one of your CGS classes and you're getting frustrated, not learning fast enough. There's only a couple of weeks left of this class. Thank you. Hopefully, you're not going to die in the next 6 months or the next 50 years. You got time. Like, relax. Learn, read, study other artists, contact people, ask questions, do master copies, keep learning. But the minute you get yourself all frustrated about, oh, I'm not as good enough, I'm not good enough to get this work, psych your own self out and then go work at a car dealership. Sitting there selling cars to people that have made, you know, successful careers for themselves, doing something that makes them happy. Back to your desk miserable. Didn't make it as an artist, whatever it is. That sucks. That's a lot of people out there. Fuck. Moist lips. He's got a date. I mean, you know, zombie robot with half his face ripped off needs loving too. Exactly. I like this. I like that. Let's think about it. I'm not as strong as I should be. Oh, rise in Anakin Skywalker. I can hear it now. You underestimate my power. Oh my lord. I hear he's coming back for that Ahsoka show. I am super Yeah, he doesn't like sand. Born on a plane. Don't get me started on it. Started. It's funny. It's funny. Fun part about this painting this is not getting super critical about certain things. I mean, there's obvious differences because my reference is a maquette and not actual constructed piece of metal. So I'm looking at this and saying, okay, well, based off of my understanding of metal and my understanding of how to turn a form, light fall off, all that stuff. This field is turning, or form is flowing into the shadow. Sean, you're saying, I guess I'm in that stage of you're not learning fast enough, but the more consistent you do that stuff to learn, that feeling sort of fades. Yes. And honestly, man, after a few months of non-stop hard work, you will see growth. You will see change. You will see an artistic growth in you. And you'll know why. Because you skipped whatever that TV show is, you DVR'd it, you stopped playing the video games, you stopped doing whatever it was that was eating up your time. Spent that time being productive, focusing on your art. Hours, hours, years, consistent work. I mean, and then as you do it, the more you do it, then it becomes like repetitive, second nature. And you can do it with a level of confidence. That's all it is. You want to be able to do something with a level of confidence where you can just sit live on Twitch in front of whoever, God knows however many people in different parts of the country, and just randomly talk about stuff while half your brain is still thinking about color, light, and value. If you had asked me to do this a couple years ago, I rose up and I'm gonna paint a robot. Ooh, you never want to be Patrick from SpongeBob. Ever. That's the worst. Jaeger Fox. On that note, I think saying it takes 10,000 hours to say you can have mastered something. Yeah, I mean that's a ballpark. Nobody really knows, but it's yeah. I mean, honestly, it's it's a guesstimate based off of saying, okay, well, you spent 4 years in college, 4 years creating or practicing to do something. You know, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year times 4. Then, add to that and say, okay, well, another 4 years, another 4 years. Consistent level of practice. And that's where I think people get frustrated. And some of that might be coming from family, friends, or peers going, well, I learned how to be an auto mechanic for like so long. Is doing that computer science or whatever? How long does it take to be a doctor? 10 years of your life. The last thing you want is to roll up into somebody's, misdiagnose something, kill something. You gotta know what you're talking about. Hopefully, talking about. And somebody's gonna trust you, find costumes for the next great Marvel film. You gotta know when. That takes time, practice to even get to that point. Just remember, I had an old woman tell me, life drawing class. She said, life is short, art is long. How long you live, you're still going to be learning something. That's fun. So much. Still using the same brush. Trying to keep that level of consistency here. This is becoming my favorite paintbrush, just because it has this very organic, very non-digital feel to it. On with that. I don't know which one of you convinced me to give him a mullet. I think that was probably mine. I'm gonna blame it on you guys. Somebody says, hey, why give him a mullet? I know, there was some guy in Spain that was on for like a couple minutes that just said, hey, give him a mullet. That would be funny. What software would you recommend to someone who wants to explore digital art and painting? Seriously? Art Rage. It's from the original makers of Portraiture. I mean, if you're just exploring it, if it's something that you want to dabble in, not something you want to do professional work in, yeah. Because the reason I say Art Rage is because Art Rage mimics traditional media better than any program I've ever seen, and it's been doing that for years, like long before Clip Studio Paint and Manga Studio and all that stuff came along. Art Rage was out here. I mean, it's basically Coral Painter light. It's just dialed down all of the unnecessary dials and got rid of all the unnecessary junk in the interface, and it just, I'm going to choose this paintbrush, I'm going to choose this oil paintbrush, I'm going to load it up with this much paint. As I drag my brush across the surface of my screen, it's going to run out of paint, and it's going to have a textural quality to it. Fresco is also good, but you know, it really depends on what you want to do, what you're trying to learn to do. I know there's a lot of traditional painters out there that say they want to get into painting digitally. They don't know where to start. I know the first thing to say people, oh, we'll learn Photoshop, but Photoshop is a beast, and like getting the interface down, figuring out how to use it can be really intimidating for some people, depending on age group. It can be super frustrating as well if you don't have the right showing you how to work. So I try to recommend programs that are really dumbed down and intuitive, so you can just pick it up and roll with it. So. I mean, Jager Fox, do you make art? Do you do anything traditionally? Like what I mean, because if you have no artistic background or understanding of fundamentals or anything like that, I wouldn't just dive right into doing that digitally, because it's like extra work. It's learning how to actually compose and understand color, light, composition, all of those fundamental elements of art, on top of learning the interface for a computer program. Like, I would take the time to learn how to do that with traditional media, and then once you have that solid understanding, then move into the digital realm. But I don't know what your background is, so it's hard to say. get rid of the snaggle. Oh, actually. You're saying used to do some sketching and can get away with basic drawings. Taken previous courses, your other art background is mostly in centered. Basic stop motion, but currently taking intro to 3D. Okay. So yeah, so apply what you've learned so far to learning Photoshop. I mean, like, the goal with any of these programs is to get it to a point where you're playing it like, right? And I know nothing about stop motion animation other than for the truly patient. Like, I could never do that. Lose my whole mind. But much respect to you knowing how to do it, and apparently well. Ponies, like one of my old teachers used to say, start traditional and easily move digital and digital, but if you start digital, try to move it traditional harder. I'd say so. I'd agree with that, because people get spoiled. They get spoiled. If you told somebody, okay, paint this this robot face, you can't color pick, right? You can't use the eyedropper tool. You can't warp it, you can't adjust it, you can't flip the screen or anything like that. All of those tools that you would do, all of those things you would do in Photoshop, you can't do any of that in traditional media. You have to know what you're doing. You could get a mirror, sure, you can get a mirror and look at your painting, see if it works in reverse. But if your drawing is off, then you have to wipe it out and start again, or you have to adjust it, and that's going to take time. So you have to be able to see. There's a level of being able just to see errors and color and light and all that stuff. It comes from a traditional painting background. And if you were to ask somebody that is strictly digital to try to pick up some oil paint or watercolor or something and replicate what they know how to do in Photoshop in real paint, they tell you no. You know, some of them know how to do it. Some of them, many don't. But that's fine. It's not. It's like saying, well, you only know how to play the piano. You can't play the piano, the drums, the guitar, and be a one-man band. Like, did you even go to music school? It's not an absolute requirement. It just helps. And I think of no undo button. No undo. That's the one. That's the thing I was leading to. For something like 5 years, I didn't do any traditional oil painting. I was strictly digital, working for an ad agency. And when I went back to try to do my first oil painting in like that amount of time, I was working on the piece and I realized, oh, values are off. Colors in the background are way too intense. And my left hand started doing that familiar motion, that Control Z, Command Z motion. I looked down at my hand and I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm not in front of my computer. I actually have to wipe that out and paint it all over again. So your thought process has to change as well. When I'm oil painting, I have to be thinking about building it up in layers so that while one thing is drying, I can be working on another part of it. Can't just blaze across the entire thing and photo bash and do all that and sprinkle textures on and you know, hit save and walk away. Like if I were doing this in oil paint and I tried to paint this all in one shot, you know, some of these colors would be cadmiums. And cadmiums are really intense saturated oil paint. And that stuff, without any kind of a drying medium or assistance to help speed up the drying time, a cadmium straight out of the tube would take days to dry. So good chunks of this face would be wet for over 24 hours. Now I don't have that kind of time. So you have to think of ways to fix that, to roll with it. But like I said, some people don't know, they don't care. And they've got YouTube channels with, you know, 500,000 plus followers, and they make a mint off of their Patreon and, you know, YouTube ad money, and they're like, paint what in oil paint? I'm not doing that mess, man. Got money to make. You know, I gotta keep my fans entertained. So I just think of it like there were if aliens came. I don't know why my mind goes to the spot, but if aliens came, release some kind of like electromagnetic pulse that wiped out all computers, I would still be able to paint from 6 a.m. to about 4 p.m. without losing the light. In your face, digital painters. Set me up near an open window and I'd be good. Just like Rembrandt. Probably shouldn't be making fun of digital painters while doing painting in front of an audience of digital painters on a digital art streaming service. Yep, random guy from Fallout New Vegas shows up, says, ah, I've got a space for this oil painting right above my mantle in my high-rise, you know, executive office building that I've now taken as my entire apartment. I know you can't see my hand right now, but kind of just holding my brush, my pen, you know, like it were a paintbrush, and just stroking across the screen right now, just making landmarks and figuring out my color choices and stuff. You know, just trying to keep it loose and comfortable, not sweat the small details just yet. I don't know if we need a tooth. Get rid of it. I don't know. Tooth or no tooth? Oh god. I'll leave the tooth. So then, I brought it back. Brought it back.
You said you didn't have time to give me attention, to truly be mine. I said, I don't know what you're saying. Now I'm sitting here and praying. You
Chunks going.
those words that make me true. 'Cause I don't know what I'll do without you. But now you're talking way too fast. I can't keep feeling in a way. It's me, oh my, and my head is spinning like a carousel. You only care about yourself. I wanted to write a song for you. I love you, but now I'm laying in my tears, wishing you were like me, wishing you were here.
Well, I'm glad that people are watching this on Twitch, because I don't know if this will be allowed post to the school's YouTube channel. Probably a little too graphic. You probably don't want to scare the kids. So if you're here watching this with me, getting something that probably, unless you're watching this on the YouTube channel now, in which case I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't see part 1 last week's. Kind of assumed it was maybe the rendering of the eye maybe like caused somebody to puke and they ordered it or something. There we go. Keep the chunks simple. Paint the light into the dark form. Shapes. Drop the opacity. Value that stuff. Yeah, there's no nudity. I mean, I could continue rendering and get into all that full frontal fleshy skin peely goodness, but uh I decided not to, you know. I did that once already with the original oil painting of this guy. Still can't sell. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants a painting of a cyborg with its flesh peeling off of its body, sitting in a junkyard with piles of trash around it. Go figure. I don't understand. What? There's gotta be a Walking Dead fan out there that just hasn't seen it yet. One day he's gonna your website and I saw that I need it for my basement. Walking Dead themed basement. It'll happen. You don't want that? So, yeah, I don't understand people there. Like, what? I mean, I went nuts. There's like guts and things spewing out of it. I'd done this, I originally sculpted this piece as a painting for a gallery show in New York City. It was like a horror theme. They said do something gross. They said do something, they didn't say do something gross. They said do something dark. Disturbing. Show it and they're like, went a little too far. Why don't you take that off the wall? Go home. Take it home. Never show that to anybody. Lesson learned. Ooh, let's get into all those specular juicy bits. That's what we gotta make sing before we go. For real. For real. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, man. Back before there were streaming services, you actually had to wait a whole week for the next episode. A whole week. You're like, what am I gonna do for a whole week? You guys remember the old show, the old Battlestar Galactica TV series that was on Sci-Fi Channel? Some of y'all. But there was no stream. There were no stream. So Sci-Fi Channel had this kind of rotating TV show kind of format where they would show you the first half of a season and then make you wait like 8 months to show you the remaining part of that season. Drive me crazy. So you'd watch maybe 6 episodes of Battlestar Galactica, you get pumping, and then they pause on a cliffhanger. Like, I think it was season 2, they paused on a cliffhanger and they said, returning spring of 2007, I'm like, spring of 2007? Like, it's February 2006. Are you serious? Lose my mind. Lose my whole mind. Now, people just like, oh, another season's on Netflix. Sweet. Just play. Press play. We got nothing to do all day. Certainly don't have any art to make. Just watch it. Trying to give it a like a wet vibe. Skin is just wet. Cool specular highlights really make that sing. Cliffhangers. The next generation of kids will never know that feeling. No, they won't. No, they won't. Like, what's a cliff? Is that a new TikTok challenge? Cliffhangers? That's what they'd say. Lord, what's a cliffhanger? You old folks and your silly terms. Good grief. I probably won't be able to share this on the school's Slack channel and be like, hey guys, this is what you missed out on, because probably offend somebody. Oh, you gotta take it off. Scaring the kids. Let's get it. Eyebrow. It's fun to get this much of this guy done. Today. I don't know if I'm gonna continue working on this later. Or next week. Probably start something different. I remember my friend that was the model for this. He had these really thick eyebrows. Really thick white eyebrows, like caterpillars sitting on his forehead. So these big eyebrows are in dedication to right now I'm trying to figure out the colors for this forehead. Again, not using the color picker. That's just a challenge I do for myself, because you want to train your eye to see color without having to use the tools in Photoshop. I know that it just makes it easier and faster for you to be able to do that, but it doesn't train you to see color any better. It's just a cheat, I think. In a pinch, when I'm like on a job or trying to get something done really fast, I'll use it, but I prefer not to. Just typically I like to build up my colors within the scene, scribble my palette on the actual illustration, and then as I am developing the piece further and further along, I will then erase all of that extra palette. We need. So Nikita, if you're still here, the one thing I was thinking about with your mermaid piece, and it's the smallest of smallest crits, is that she doesn't feel like she's underwater. If we're going to do something that feels, you're going to call it a mermaid, I almost feel like the entire piece should have a tint, some kind of cool greenish, bluish, whatever the water, like a feeling that she's underwater. I mean, unless she is, you know, on a rock or something, and this is where you zoomed in on her, like out of the ocean on a rock, you know, beckoning sailors toward her so that she can kill them. And it depends on what kind of mermaid you're going. Like, you're going if Little Mermaid with it, or if you're going Sea Witch. Yes, it's color balance. So if you push the cyan and the blue with the midtones, or you could go with a photo filter. So watch, like on this, let me go photo filter. I'm gonna go here and go photo filter, and I can warm up this entire piece. Or you're going for the Sea Witch. Okay. I can hit, there's an underwater tint. And if I punch the density of that, it tweaks the entire piece. Okay? So that completely changes the entire feeling. The palette of the entire painting is now altered. Right? Just with that one photo filter. You know, it's either that, or you can do it in spots. The color balance. Oh, right. Hold on a second. There we go. Now you can see my. Here. I wasn't showing you my actual layers. So you can go into the photo filter. Go to photo filter, and then you can select underwater, and then you can just push the density of that. That will tint your entire piece. Right? So that's one way to do it, and then another would be color balance. You just tweak the cyan and the blue, and then toggle them back and forth until you get the temperature that you want. That's it. I mean, I might actually do the same thing for this. Just drop the opacity of it down so that the cools are a little cooler, the warms are a little cooler. I don't know. I kind of like it the way it is, though. So, yeah. See how that works. If you take a look up the work of Ian McCaig. He's a concept designer for Star Wars movies. He did a I don't know if it was a Noman workshop video or something like that, but it was based on The Little Mermaid, the Hans Christian Andersen version of it, where he took all the elements of Little Mermaid and put it out in space. So the Sea Witch became this like space witch. Still had that ocean, still had that fish vibe to it, but like the Little Mermaid had like this bluish tint to her skin, and all of that. So I would say, as a challenge for yourself, this is a challenge. I'm challenging you. Paint that piece again. Different face. Different face. A different woman's face. Paint it again, but paint it with the feeling that the skin tone is not just a Caucasian woman. Paint it as if the skin is like the different colors of a fish, like the grays or the blues or tropical colors that you might see in a fish's skin, scales or gills or whatever. And then play with the eyes. Maybe going for more of a dark black reflective eye color or something like that. See what that looks like. So then you have a beautiful, clean, polished, you know, version, and then something a little darker. That's if you want to. I mean, I would push myself and say, well, okay, I did something really beautiful and really nice, but what if I went a little scarier with it? What would that look like? A little bit more of that integration of fish design into the face and to whatever parts of the body. And what if that hand that you had reaching out was webbed? The fingers, what if those fingers were webbed? Would make sense, because if she's a mermaid, right? So that's what I would have told you if you showed me that in class. But I think what you did was beautiful as it is, but I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to make it like a theme and then do a series of these, or maybe, you know, more than once, then now you have a benchmark. Now you have a clean version, a dirty one. Right, so yeah, go for it. I'm excited to see what you do with it. And also, if you like, I'm not saying go Mariana Trench kind of scary fish with it, but think about the type of lighting that would be underwater. Like, if this, I mean, if you do one from further away, I would maybe pull out so that it's maybe, you don't have to do a full body. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. You could do 3/4 length, so head to about where the knees would be, or like halfway down the fishtail, so that it's very clear that it's a mermaid. Because on the one that you did, like, I had to really zoom in to say, okay, well, you've got some scales on the neck, but like, there was really nothing in the piece screaming mermaid. It felt more like somebody that's body or hair was underwater. You know, getting that flow. I don't know who Liara is, but yeah. So, like, if the lighting was coming from underneath her, then you're automatically going to have this ominous vibe to the entire piece, because it's going to cast shadows on the upper parts of the cheek, you know, on the forehead. The upper eyelid is going to be basically the lighting that's in this piece right now, the zombie piece. It's underlit. What if you tried to do a mermaid piece with underlighting? Like, it's some lava trench, or, you know, neon lights from some scuba gear or underwater oil station or something like that from some sci-fi film, what would that look like on her face? That's the next challenge for you. Oh, Liara. Oh, from Mass Effect. Right, so she's got a bluish skin tone. Yeah, with spots and everything. Yeah, that could work. Could work. So anyway, not you know, not trying to say anything against what you did, because what you did was beautiful. I think this one of your better portraits after being all down on yourself about. I mean, and she doesn't look dead, which is an improvement. She doesn't look dead. It's like kind of our in-joke, because Nikita was frustrated about painting portraits and wondering why all of her faces. I think now that you have the technical skill, you have the rendering ability, now push it. Push yourself. Say, what if? What if I did it like this? Right? That's what I'm excited to see. Then I could be like, what? But just, you know, have fun with it. Have fun with it. Don't let anybody dissuade you or be like, well, that's not what a mermaid looks like. Like, shut up. Who knows what a mermaid looks like? Mermaids could have full facial hair, right? Don't, well, no. Leave the mustaches away, off of it. Don't go full mustache. I was gonna say give her a biker stash, but that's when you start catching heat from cosplay ladies on. So you don't want that. You don't want that heat. And getting reference for this, Nikita, getting reference for this would be super easy, because you would really just have to take a lamp in your house, put it on the floor, shine that light right up into your face, look into a camera that's right in front of you, and have somebody take that picture. And then bring that into Photoshop and color balance the crap out of that so that you get a cooler tint to the entire thing. Draw it, paint it, make it scary, have fun. Don't make it up. No guesswork. Alright? No guesswork. There's enough information online about fish bodies, and the details of tails and gills and all of that stuff. Really make something that looks beautifully done and well thought out. I'll leave it there. Saying, is it okay to use two references, one for how she actually looks and the pose, one for lighting? I wouldn't know. I mean, I'd have just like send me a message on Slack. Send me what your reference looks like. I'll give you the thumbs up, or what. I can give you whatever tips from there. Once I see what you're working with. But like for my advanced illustration students know that I have a no guesswork policy in my class. It exists out there as reference on Google, or if you have a camera and lights in your house, then you need to go take a picture. this entire portrait that I'm working on right now is within that no guesswork zone, because I sat there long enough to sculpt something. Not everybody has that technical ability, and that's fine. But then you just find yourself an old man that can make that face, and you shine a light up into his face, and then you take a picture of some hamburger with that same that same lighting, and you you know, collage it together in Photoshop and get that look. But it's all about making something that doesn't exist look real. And you don't want to phone it in. Megadeth is coming along. His name is actually Ralph. He had a rough night. Really. All right, that's as far as I'm gonna bring this for today. Thank you all for joining me. Which is, I've never known Ralph to have any rough night. Yeah, man. Yeah, Ralph is he's always up to no good. Thank you all for joining me, and look forward to seeing what you do, Nikita. Keep me, message me, keep me posted on what you're doing, and look forward to seeing everybody again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, all that jazz. So anyway, all right, take care.